So we'll get started. I think, like I mentioned earlier on, the original plan was we're going to share a couple of things, but I think the Mastermind quality circle approach is very enticing, to really have a lot of conversation. The object at the end is that we can speak to something related to technical, vocational, skill drive within our communities where we find ourselves. But I started earlier with a question: how does one make business happen in Ghana? I know you lead an organization, you work with someone who's been, killing the ropes, beyond boundaries. And he was here yesterday, shared a lot of stuff. And you've been in the journey, both professionally and now also ministry for this while, and running things on the side. How does one, what are the things that one needs to do? It's a question to all.
Starts and you can talk.
I hope my question is not too tough.
When you stepped out, I made a comment, and I don't know whether that's the reason everybody has become tight-lipped. I said that you were asking how do we make it out there, and it presupposes that the person who is going on the site has made it.
I think some way, somehow, everyone is doing something.
Yes.
Succeeding in some way. So for me that wants to start the journey, what do I do? How do I, I think my question is fair, right?
Very clear.
Yeah. So we went further to say, whilst you were away, that my husband and I started 2 different businesses. It's not even a year old. I cannot say we have succeeded. We have had challenges. And let me give an example about the water. I think the information we got before we went into starting the business wasn't right. So the understanding was that just produce the water and then you have people, no, you have people come
to buy it,
distribute it. So that was the understanding. So we set off and started, and then we found out that that wasn't the reality. So we had to put in more money to acquire a tricycle, what we call aboboya. And in fact, aboboya is not enough. You need the tracks. And at this point, we are not even in the position to acquire any track. We were juggling in our minds how to go for bank loans. And it's not been easy. So we do not have a success story at this point about the business. But what I know is that, what I can say briefly is that if we got certain things right, it's a good project. It's good. But for now, because we didn't get it right from the word go, we are struggling.
I think it's I was waiting for the starters to make a point before I come in.
based on my interaction with many businesses, one of the key things fundamental that we see companies struggling is purely based on research.
Research.
Number one is research. The Ghanaian entrepreneur, the Ghanaian startup, start business based on hearsay or what you've seen. Right? My house next door, I've seen this guy is really doing well with, how do you call it? Pure water.
Plantain chips.
So I have moved from Kanishi. I'm now living at Aushi, so let me do same. Right? Without understanding the reason behind or the motive behind that water company. So that's the problem. Number one, research. Just few people spend time to do research. You know, the energy is there, we want to do it. But what do I need to know before I move in?
Yeah.
We all feel we can go and do it. The second one with technical know-how. Apart from research, because if technically she understands a bit of, you know, sales and marketing, how to segment the market, all those things, you know that I'll need a truck first, I don't need a boboya first, you know, all these things. So, but then one key is research. And any company who is doing very well, I think they know the market very well. They spend quality time to research about it. We don't spend time to research, to understand the venture we want to take, or the move we want to make. That will be the first one. We always think about the last, which is the finance.
The money.
Yes, that's Ghanaian entrepreneur comes in. The first thing is like, oh, I have this idea. If I get this money.
I can get this money from you.
That's it. But no research, no technical ability, no marketing, no customer segmentation, or where I can get my customers, no sustainability plan. Okay. And then boom, that's the reason why the banks are collecting people's businesses every blessed day, because they don't have any.
I would say that we do not have good research. Who are out there doing good research, because I was involved in, when I was working, we started a coconut processing plantation, the second of its kind in the whole of Africa, producing desiccated coconuts in Accra. We paid for research to be done, and the research was erroneous. They gave us a volume of coconuts which we would get in Ghana, but it turned out that the facts and figures upon which our whole project was wrong. So we had to go to Cote d'Ivoire and source coconuts to try and sustain the plant in Takoradi. We did that from 1993 to 2001, when the unrest in Cote d'Ivoire started, and so it immediately, our supply base cut. We had gone for $500,000 to invest into that thing. Eventually, Agri Development Bank took over the company and sold it off. So it's not that there was no research. There was research. With the water company too, we did do some research, but the result of that research was that there were private people who were into distribution. And so all you needed to do was to link up with the distribution companies, and they would come and take the water at a certain discounted price. You are not supposed to know, their costs. All they would come to you and take it at a much lower price and distribute it. When we started, the reality was that there were these many distribution companies, but they were doing contract packing. So they would bring their rolls for you to produce for them. when you do the maths, it's not worth it, because you get 30 pesos per bag, 35 pesos per bag. Whilst if you were able to have your own distribution, something network, you can get much more, 2 times, 3 times that.
Yeah.
So it's the erroneous information out there, and we don't have companies who, when you consult, give you research results, and they take a lot of money.
Yeah.
We paid over $5,000 in the coconut thing I'm telling you about. We got a whole document. It had a 5-year plan, because with all the financials showing how we can recoup the investments and everything. But it fizzled out. So I agree with you that research is key. Technical know-how is important. But
I think before we continue, we need to do a bit of introductions. Then, I think before you came in, we did introductions and started off the conversation a bit. So, since you're here, yay, the class is here.
You can introduce us.
Yeah, sure. Well, good evening. My name is Fred Latte, CEO of Latte Wellness Group. We're partnered up with Pastor Bernard here on this wonderful program, talking to CEOs, and just wanted to get together to have a conversation to talk about your current fears and to move you from fear to faith. And I think that this is good. I'm glad that right now you're saying that you don't really have a success story. I believe eventually you will, but I want to use yours as like a case thing, because I think that I can also have a different point of view of, I like it now that you're in it. Okay, now how do we navigate, right? Because in the U.S., I completely agree, and this is on camera now, so it's going to sound a little bit weird. You're right, the research is important, but now, hey, it's still not too late. But a book that I was reading they were saying that start with why first, right? Why are you in the water business? But why are you in for us, we do counseling and we do, we do that. And if you can start with your why and then maybe branch from there, because then you can communicate a message, right? Now it's not just water, but it's not, it's something, X, Y, and Z, type of thing. So I would say that I want us to continue to uplift each other and to figure out, okay, now work on, okay, these are actionable things that you can take to say, okay, hey, I'm here, because we've all been there, right? Oh, trust me. Oh, yeah. Oh, trust me. I've in your situation, there was a guy that opened up a mental health practice. So we run mental health clinicians. We do counseling, and the same thing. He ran into something, and he realized, wow, this is a lot more than what it is. And then I told him, I said, look, this is actually how you do it, because somebody promised him, oh, if you just open it up, I'll be able to get you clients, or I'll be able to do this. And for a non-business person, that sounds great.
Yeah.
But then when that source runs out, or when they leave, then what do you do? And so we can actually walk through as a case study of, okay, hey, what are your next steps on, if we were doing it right, if we were in this water plant, what would we do? How would we tackle it, and how we can get you out of the situation? Because to be honest with you, it's tough when you're in it right now, but there's definitely a way out. There's plenty of people that have been in the exact same situation. And now you just got to figure out, okay, I'm in it now. Do I want to turn back, or do I want to see it through? Because if you want to see it through, you can. I guarantee you. You see. Moses was in the desert for 40 years, right? I guarantee he was. I said 40 years. By then he done mastered the desert. How long have you all been doing in the water thing?
it was just 1 year.
Oh, beautiful. So you're in the infancy stage, right? You're a toddler. You just had your 1 year. You just had. The books that I read, they say, look, if you really want successful business, plan for 5 to 7. Yeah, so 1 year you're just getting, because now you start seeing the realities of it and really build it for the sustainable long term. Because I would say if I'm in this situation, I'm saying, okay, hey, look, now I know I got to do my distribution. Now I got to do this. Now I have to do that. Let me start doing it. But it's, do you really want to do it? Or do you want to now put in your effort and say, hey, I need to funnel everything I have. But let me shut up and let me get your feedback into.
Yeah.
Maybe if she may introduce also then.
Oh, sorry. This is my lovely wife, Dorcas. You want to say anything?
Not right now.
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So I think you shared, I don't know if anyone has any inputs on. So from maybe what I gathered from what you're saying, the research is good, but even if it's not started, it's not late to go back and do the necessaries. So I gathered 2 things, research, and then also looking at the technical know-how, understanding the business, how it works, and so on. Okay, all right.
I think that you didn't tell them how you started the counseling process. Because when he started, he was working for IT, working as IT for Kilter Group. And then when you were branching off to counseling, it was really tough because he had just finished and he wanted to open up a mental health clinic. Well, he wanted to open his own office for counseling. And it's not easy. Counseling, it comes with experience. If somebody wants to come and sit down and listen to you counsel them, they want to know how many experience have you had, especially marriage counseling. They see a young person.
It wants to be a marriage.
Exactly. They ask you how long have you been married for.
And put a CV on the table.
Yes. So I remember when he started, he started reaching out to people in India for practice. He wanted to gain practice. So he was, I remember the time difference, he would wake up 2 a.m. in our time just to talk to people in India, and it was for free. He would listen to people's problems and then, give them advice. And when he started doing it, I was like, isn't that painful? You work all day and then you have to wake up 2 a.m. And these people, they have like big issues. You stay on the phone an hour, 2 hours. And gradually he was able to build it from there. And what he was doing was he was giving these people advice, but they were also taking the advice and giving him reviews.
That's right.
So they will go on the website and give him reviews. So when people come in America, they want to see the reviews. They want to see how many reviews you have, how many people you have counseled, and if they like your services or not. And from that, although he was giving free services, he got the reviews from it. And then he had people reaching out to him. And that was how he was able to build his clientele from there.
Okay.
So sometimes sowing the seed, you might not, see it reap right away. It takes time, it takes patience. And as time goes on, all the things that you have planted will eventually, reap. So that is what I wanted to share when he started.
Thank you.
Nice. Okay, the floor is still open. The big question is, how do you make it with all the possible elements we find in our ecosystem? How do you make it? So that's what brought the conversation you came to me. So guys, the floor is still open. The ball is in the court, or the court is in the ball.
Well, let's focus, if you don't mind, focus on the, because I like encouraging entrepreneurs, because I've been in that shoe. And when I was in that shoe, if you don't have somebody encouraging you, you can get very, very depressed, right? For me, a lot of people, they weren't encouraging. It was, oh, I told you so, and this and this. It is, it's a lot of negativity. So now when I meet entrepreneurs and they're just starting to walk, I'm like, yeah. But just realize you're going to be in it for the long game, and ask yourself, okay, do I see myself doing this for 20 years? Maybe you don't, but I'm saying that it's still not lost. So for me now, if you were my client and you came to me with this, I would say, hey, look, right now, you have to be the expert at water. Literally, you have to go in the room and be able to tell somebody, this is how we manufacture it. This is this. This is this. Become the expert at it. Start teaching people about the water process and doing this and do. But it's again, do you have the passion for it?
We do.
We planned this thing in 2010.
Yeah.
2010. We drilled the borehole. We bought the water tanks. Last year she came along and she said, let's do it. And then we started. So we had planned a long time. It's been 2010 to now, it's 12 years. We have done all the infrastructure work for it, except just a little bit. Last year we only bought the machines, did the installation, and we went on very wrong information, which is why we are where we are. So we started off hiring trucks to do the distribution when we realized that we had to. But the margins on it could not sustain.
Because if you hire,
When we hired, we were paying something
Fuel.
like 900
900
cedis
a week.
a week.
wow.
900 cedis a week plus fuel.
Mm.
And the vehicle could only load 160. So at the end of the day, we were working for the owners.
Yeah.
Of the track.
Okay, I don't know. I want to come in a bit. Two things: service and then physical product conversation. All right. I want to separate two. So the scenario, the name again, Dorcas, right?
Okay, Doc.
Yes. Gabe, it's service, and you know my story.
Yeah.
I've mounted uncountable thousands of podiums to speak to the youth. I have consulted for more than 50 companies without taking a dime until I decided to do my professional coaching certification to be a professional coach. All right. When I announced that I'm back home for 2 months without traveling, only month of August I have about 15 appointments to come to churches and speak. So for service we can give out for, free we can give. But when it comes to the product, physical item, it becomes very difficult for us to give out for free. And I consulted for the water company in Kumasi, right? We've seen a massive jump. They've been in business for 20 years, still not making any revenues.
Wow.
Still, until I got in last year. That's the reason I said they've been in business for 20 years, doing it like they want to do it, but no proper research on where they're selling, what time they're supposed to sell. I mean, the example is a water company leaves your factory around 9 a.m.
Late.
Who is going to buy?
Too late.
And they've been doing that for 20 years.
Oh.
So when I got in, I said, you can't start selling
Yeah.
water because nobody has sat down to understand that before I go in there are tons of water companies who have
Yeah.
supplied.
Already.
So by 5
So what-
a.m.
Yeah, they move out.
So a fair understanding of the market, a fair understanding of what I'm getting myself into, what you're selling is different from coconut or butter or, so clearly that's the reason why I said research. And I'll give you an example. I like the point you said, research companies are in this country. I once managed a renewable energy in Kumasi called Zega. I was the MD. The business spent about $150,000 on research. But they got a wrong timing of the research and the wrong info. Invested about $8 million, all gone down to the drain. Just because of one research. So if we do not, especially in Africa, in Europe, there's a bit of data you can buy. Here you can't buy the data.
It doesn't exist.
You don't have it.
That's it.
So if you don't take time, relax, and get to understand. I have bakery that is about around a year. My wife is complaining that we're not making sense. I said, relax. Let's understand the people. Let's understand, let's understand. We do. I mean, we've gone to 8 bags of flour a day before. Now I'm doing 2 bags. And I was like, don't rush it. As Riley said, 7 years. I said, let's take our time and understand the market. So the little that we're doing is just the market, right? So I believe in one thing, closing your camp, the little you have. So the tracks, I would say probably you slow down. If it's even 50 bucks you do a day, it helps you to understand where you're going. Gradually then you build on it. But the problem is, because we don't understand, we just want to boom. So many things, we want to be everywhere. If you're in, let's say, I don't know where you live, if you're in, let's say, Ofanko, I'll probably, as a managing director of the water company, I'll not sell beyond Ofanko. Even Ofanko, I'll divide it into 4. Pick one territory, work the territory, get all the feedback, understand before I make a move. So gradually you're stepping out, then you're gathering data. Once we don't have research, you need to use your own feedback.
As part of the
Using the renewable energy company, the first time I saw the document, the business case was built before I was employed. So when I saw the document, I was like, this is never going to happen. They said, why? I said, look, I've been here and worked for 22 years of my life in Ghana. This will never work in Ghana. Because somebody thought, oh, it's booming in Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire. And they came and somebody also gave them wrong information, and then that's why they invested. What did we do? Whilst we were working, I was like, we can't go everywhere in Ghana. I want to limit my operations in Ashanti region. Let me get feedback. Within 3 months, they saw it themselves. That it's not going to happen. So all the shops, all the offices around Ghana, they started closing them, going back to beg for refund. Because it was not possible. We would have spent more than $15 million. But immediately realized that it's not going to happen, so we need to scale back. So the problem is understanding what we want to do. People do things because people have done it, and we've seen people counting money and needing money. How many radio stations do we have in Ghana?
More than 50.
No.
50.
Over 200.
Say 200. The last time I count was 410.
Oh my word.
Because they've seen Peace FM, they've seen made it. They don't understand the roadmap. We have over 410 radio stations in Ghana, and that's how Ghanaians entrepreneurs behave. When there's boom, everybody's going without understanding, without researching, without getting to know the lifespan of that crave that is coming. The lifespan of it happened to banking.
Yeah.
From nowhere, boom, 38 banks in Ghana in this small community. So that's our problem. Understanding where we want to go, the projects we want to embark on, and how long we have appetite to wait, the 7 years, 5 years, 7 years before we can make it. So number one for me is a solid understanding of the research. I don't want to even use the research, understanding of the market, understanding of what you want to do.
Like what you're trying to do right now.
Yeah.
Understanding the terrain
Before, yeah.
and look at it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. you learn the hard way. Yeah.
I tell you, for me, if I'm in the water, I'm becoming a water expert. I'm going to become that. My wife is going to say, "Is all you talk about is water?" Literally, she realized.
When he has a passion for something,
Yeah,
that's all you're
it's the same way I talk about the water. I told them that our water is going to become number 1 in Ghana. Anybody coming from anywhere,
Yeah.
we're looking for.
yes, would use our water as a standard. But I know that we still have a little bit of work to do to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
And
don't
also,
have-
Not to cut
you have
you,
to
sorry.
give
Okay.
people, you have to give people what sets your water apart from other waters.
Yeah.
You have to give people something to grasp onto, you know. That's why a lot of time companies, they give a little bit brief descriptions of the story behind how you started doing water. Because people can read the story and they can grasp onto the story, and they will start buying your water because of the story behind it. So every product, you have to set yours apart from, because there's a lot of water.
Yeah.
But sometimes it might not take a lot of people to read it. Me personally, sometimes when I grab water, I read the back, I read whatever it is. Water is water. But there is going to be something that will set your water apart from other waters.
Actually, when we took the samples to the water resources for them to do the analysis, when the analysis would come back, it was excellent. And the lady who handed us the results says that yours is among very few that have met WHO standards. And that was just the raw water before we would start processing it through the reverse osmosis and the
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So we do know that we have a good product. It is left for us to build on it and then market it.
Yeah.
Well, what is your why? Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you.
Yeah, especially on the water. I mean, because I consulted for a water company in Kumasi, I think for the past 1 year, I have bought and brought to Ghana over 22 different types of water. Sometimes when I'm traveling back to Ghana, one of my suitcases is full of water. And at the airport, they go like, are you okay? You know, they open in different types. Because I want to understand. If you want to be known in Ghana, are you sampling? Are you getting ideas? I'm a lazy person. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? But I don't want the wheel to be carried empty like that with my own with a different idea to come in. So I have different types of water from Uganda, from Tanzania, from Rwanda, bottles all over in my bedroom.
Okay.
Sitting somewhere for me to be able to understand if I want to stand out in this country, what do we do? I hope you understand.
Yeah,
so the projects, I'm seeing it like if it's going to take off 3 years, even 4 years, we're gradually understanding how they market it, what they do, and all those things. So it's a bit of patience, and I like what you said. We need to be very calm as entrepreneurs. We don't have the patience as entrepreneurs. We want to start and then boom. we get out there.
When you sink in the money and
I know. but Bernard, that's an interesting conversation.
Yes.
You know, we don't do planning with our finances when it comes to entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
How much do you want to spend the first year, the second year, the third year? How much do I put in training, research, and all those things? We don't. So
I think there's no business plan. Basically, that is guiding what we're doing.
right.
We set off with a passion.
Mm-hmm.
We are excited about the idea
Yeah.
and what it promises to bring.
Yeah.
So when we get off from the word go,
Yeah.
we are dashing straight to where the money would be.
Right.
But it's a process. You start from somewhere, but you need to do the right things
Yeah.
that will get you there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, once again, coming back to what you've shared, we don't have the patience to wait and pay the price that will get us to that finish line. And when you don't have the planning done, so for example, I'm starting a business. What is my marketing plan? How do I intend to promote it? Let me say I've not been to any business school.
Yeah.
I'm taking grassroots. Philip Kotler,
Yeah.
4 P's
Yeah.
or 7 P's if you like. Product, price, place, promotion,
Yeah.
physical evidence, da 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 da.
And all those things.
Even just that, having an idea of those elements and planning to it. How many people do I need at the onset? How do I scale to what level in order to warrant bringing in the trucks and so on and so forth? Those planning don't exist with us. Once again, I've seen so many entrepreneurs who have the passion. They want to achieve, and they have this idea that is giving them the sleepless nights.
Yeah.
And that is all.
Yeah.
Without even considering, see, some of the ideas will be great, but are these ideas the kind of ideas that will build the demand that will bring you the levels of revenue you are looking at?
Right.
Because some ideas are great, but it doesn't create a demand that will bring or churn out some revenues for you. If you don't do those analysis well, you will always end up being frustrated. And that is the conversation that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have. Once again, it's the excitement about the idea. It's what the carrots are,
Yeah.
or just want to gash out to go get them. And if we can be able to have the idea part planned for,
Yeah.
going through the lines, we'll do better.
So whole price, right? I've been a judge for I think 5 years. Last year I didn't do it. I was out of country, so I didn't do it. And these young people have brilliant ideas, and none of them have detailed research. And that's the reason why they've not been able to
come out.
Last 2 years in France, EDF put in about $200,000. The three Ghanaians were part of the last 5. The Ivorian took that money because of research, which will dovetail into marketing plan idea. So roughly how many people are you going to sell to? No idea. Your target market, where are they? No, we can sell in Ghana. Ghana is not like your pound.
Exactly.
Where are you going to sell it? Which area are you going to move it?
Let's even relate that. So a typical example. Let me speak like someone from church. So a pastor who sets up a 50,000 member congregation auditorium in Kofredia, where the population of Christians, right, is up to plus minus, and I'm using hypotheticals, up to 20,000. But you have a 50,000 seater. Yes, by the grace of God, you're looking.
Saints will come.
You understand? It is easy for someone to have a Nigerian market in Lagos, where the population is about 27 million, to say that I'm putting up 120,000 seat auditorium in Lagos, because you know that the population supports about 27 million. So raising 100,000 is not a headache. Once again, coming back to not doing our groundwork and not planning effectively to that effect. So you can have a cathedral to sit like what we are trying to build, right? And case closed. So I mean, those are, and I can relate with the knowledge finding to that, so that we know and understand our market and how we can plan in that regard. I think our shortfalls are huge when it comes to those.
I mean, you mentioned shea butter. And there's in the last 20 months, I think I've traveled to Kenya more than 50 times. I go like 5 days, I come back and I go. And there's no trip I've made without going with
shea butter.
So I buy like 500 Ghana cedis. Buy worth 500 Ghana cedis. My luggage is full. The last trip I went to 2 jeans, 2 tops, but I went to 3 luggages. Black soap, shea butter, golden tree chocolate.
They want it.
Badly.
It's a huge market.
Beast. See,
we
but
have
now
one person who was speaking from us to Kenya.
So
but
now
when
that's
COVID started.
So that's where the problem will start. Because of the excitement, I will not take time to research, and then boom, I'll start transporting. Then something will happen. But once I have this knowledge, I spend time to understand. Even in Kenya, who are the people who use it? Where can we find them? Kenyans are very, very skeptical about other products from other markets. They want their own. How do we break in? So when you spend months and years to build this, when you start the business, it's moving straightforward. So that's the key. The block is I don't know how we've managed to turn things around for finance to be the first need for entrepreneurs in Ghana.
We want the larger. We want it fast. There is this marketing ploy that failed in the East. So I'm talking about the Middle East. Pepsodent for a good white strong teeth. The Muslim community don't like white teeth. They like brown teeth. If you bring a product that is selling them white teeth, it's even against their culture. So from the onset, you've already failed by the product and how you are positioning the product in the market. A typical example of that. So, and they have billboards everywhere for good white, strong teeth for all the family. And Muslims say, no,
we don't want it.
It's brown. Check them, it's brown. Because that's a culture that shows, you are into it. So it is so right that we need to understand our market, and maybe whatever you and I are venturing into now, getting, like this conversation we're having in this room,
focus group meetings.
you know, focus group meetings, calling a couple of friends, you know, not the ones you chat with all the time, but people from diverse walks of life to understand perspective and views on different things. It shaping your mind, which can influence, of course, your planning at the end of the day on how you can achieve, you know, some of the things. Good convo. Love it.
One
Yes.
second. Introduction?
Yes.
I'm Nancy, a friend to SN.
Okay.
Yeah, so interesting conversation so far. I'm also trying to set up something. Yeah. And he invited me to actually wasn't going to make it, but he insisted. So yeah, I think it's good I came. I picked up quite a few things since I got here.
Mainstream profession.
I'm a journalist.
Oh, from
Yeah,
who?
I work with multimedia journals.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Now to a core aspect of, you know, tonight's TVET, technical vocational. There's a huge cry to develop aspects of our communities. Unfortunately, much of this drive is driven through foreign investments and foreign leadership. So technically all the huge infrastructure built across this country is either sponsored, built, and managed to some extent by foreign, you know, governments or banks or, you know, in industrial organizations. There is currently a real, you know, project in the West, which is handled by a big one from Israel. You know, most of our interchanges are run by Chinese and Turkish. You know, so many things. It looks as if the Ghanaian is technically deficient to handle technical skills. The sponsorship of resources have been pushed so much into the social studies, the social sciences, a bit into the sciences, and the technical vocationals are left hanging. Unfortunately, they are the industry builders and community builders in every society. When the government decided to support second cycle institutions, the thinking first was not technical vocational. It went into secondary schools. So all the technical vocational schools did not have the benefit of the free SHS. For about 2-3 years, maybe 3-4 years, there was nothing supporting this technical vocational institutions to be able to have the resources, the infrastructure, the equipment, the knowledge sharing tutors to be able to run this. This has created a huge gap. We have a lot of people in Ghana with science backgrounds, a lot of people in Ghana who've been able to do ABCD in social sciences, but we are not even putting anything out there. My big question, how do we drive the conversation around technical vocational to the levels of impact that will help drive our communities as entrepreneurs?
I would think that the technical vocational institutions of the government benefited from the free SHS. The government assisted ones had that. It is the private sector which has a larger chunk of the technical vocational.
The technical vocational of the government is about 12-15%.
Yes, I know. And I'm saying that it's because it's so skewed. All the private vocational institutions and the private SSS did not benefit from the free SHS. So to have extended it to the private, the bulk, I'm just trying to
correct
that narrative. the private sector that is investing in the vocational and technical institutions more, and so the government institutions are not that many. But I understand where you are coming from, and I know that it is a key, because when you get into any industry, the hands-on people are drawn from that sector. But the government itself has not invested in technical vocations.
So the government itself is not only that they are not investing, they're killing technical in those areas. I come from a secondary technical background in school. When you go, technical is streamed to about 4 or 5 courses, and then the secondary is taken over. Even our main technical university, Kwame Nkrumah Science Center, now they're doing law, they're doing other things there. Technical is shrinking, right? So the question is, how do we make sure we don't kill it totally? What is the role we play? I happen to be in a conversation where the best is to connect, set it out as a private school or as a training center with this, if it's donor funds or whatever, connected somewhere. I'll give it, recently the IT course was launched at Accra Business School, basically to get people prepared for the IT world, but the certification is coming from Ireland. Right, it's coming from Ireland. They're getting lecturers to fly in sometimes, to meet the guys on hands-on. The rest will be done via Zoom. So if the government itself is not trying to, help boost that industry, the best is have it and maybe link with some foreign institution who already, years back, I think in 2017, one of the key things that was a worry to us was how the secondary was taking over the technical bit in my secondary school. So I was in London with one of the guys. The plan was to build a course as a private course on campus, not government course. If you come to school, we'll have somebody to present to you and your mother or your father. If you're interested, do your secondary and do this as an extracurricular activity. But when you arrive and after school, you write an exam. So by the time you leave in school, you have a technical ability. As of now, the people in secondary school doing woodwork, they do theory, they don't have the wood.
No, the benches to cut.
They don't have anything.
No metalwork.
No metalworks. Everything is theory. And my boss is here. He's into metalworks and one amazing guy in this country. He knows. They don't have the tools. They don't have anything. So the guy says, I'm doing building and construction in secondary school, but he's doing theory part of it. He's doing theory. He knows the measures, but physically he has not done it before. So, if honestly the way things are going, if this conversation will come, it's a different setup, plus a third-party hands-on training or certification out of this country, because the curricula or syllables that we are building right now would not support this agenda.
I was trying to draw into this meeting. Ghana set up last year the TVET authority. I was trying to draw in the executive director. Unfortunately, it couldn't happen because as part of the conversations we had since yesterday, the idea is not to have another talk shop, but literally to be able to start influences and whispering into the ears of the corridors of power to come up with a plan. Obviously, it is clear there is no plan for us. So set up a very huge place, try to do things for pictures. For me, that's how I see it. Because there are critical elements on the ground. And I'll come to the government, because I was at OIC in 2017, because they launched this late 2016 into 2017. That was part of the time that we were running the Google Digital Skills for Africa project. So I was privileged to be in every TVET under the government. So the OICs, the NVTIs, and the different ones of them. I tell you, what they were talking about was a collapse of what was on the ground. But the real, things on the ground that will get us moving. I'm saying this as maybe not just a passion, but an element of a huge gap we have in Ghana today. We have timber. I remember when we were learning social studies and so on and so forth, they talked to us about all these kind of woods that are exported. And unfortunately, we need to import back into the country to buy the furniture. So, all the woods are sent out there as raw materials, and then we go and buy it back from China and Turkey and the rest of them as finished products. Ogas started something, a couple of other furniture who started something, but today the imported ones have taken over the market. So go to Okadeco, go to Furniture City, go to here, there. These are all imported, finished products from a lot of the wood that we send out there. We can speak about the cocoa and the rest of them. We take the raw beans, send it out there, it's processed in Switzerland or France or the United Kingdom and brought back to us as chocolates that we need to buy. These are huge elements of the technical deficiencies we don't have. We talk about mining.
Yeah.
Today, the guys that engineered the machinery for mining wouldn't sell to you the mining machine, because then you wouldn't need them. So they are constantly making agreements that is getting you to want to need them to be part of the mining process so that they can have their share. What is happening to our engineers? So today, engineers are sitting in Ghana with 3 PhDs, 4 doctorates. They have all the accolades, they can spell it out, but struggle to even create our own traffic lights. At the end of the day, how do we get this conversation and the drive as entrepreneurs? And the whole idea is, can we have a shift that, because there's a huge, so the reason why I was bringing this up is, there is a huge element from the international donor community that is considering a drive for technical vocational currently. Unfortunately, not many people are interested.
Even away.
Not many. And we are all going after the small cake in certain sectors, and everyone is going there. What do we do? So maybe introduce yourself with them.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Salome Tepe. I'm the team lead for Silhouette Group. We're basically into sign making, steel fabrication,
The famous
and
Yes.
woodworks. Yeah. That's me. Yeah.
So since you're in the space,
Yeah.
maybe share your thoughts.
I haven't been here for long, but I think I'm picking much. Yes, you've said it all. We are far behind when it comes to technical vocation. For me, it's something that I really enjoy doing, and it's something that also brings in revenue in terms of business, employing people, getting your daily bread. It is something that is on the rise now when you go outside the country. Unfortunately for us, we are not seeing it. Technical vocation, it's the future. I've been to South Africa, I've been to China, and it's like something they do every blessed day. You see young people, creating things, fabricating, and you will be shocked at what people are doing out there. We've tried to recruit people from our universities, and trust me, they are nowhere near what we want. So what we have done for some time now is we virtually had to pick people on the streets, train them to do fabrication, and you would be shocked at the excellence they bring to the table. And I always ask myself, what are we doing in our schools?
Yeah.
You decide to get somebody who has done engineering to handle a robotic machine, and trust me, I eventually had to sit behind the person, somebody who I don't know anything about robotics, but I eventually had to sit behind the person, show the person that this is what you are supposed to do. Even though there is a manual there, they are not able to operate the machines and all that. So it's It's a whole lot. And for me, I've been in this business for close to 20 years, and I can confidently say that it is something that would generate a lot of income for this country. If we decide to, put our minds to it, if we decide to concentrate and then build the TVETs very well, it's going to help us as a nation. In terms of unemployment, people are going to gain employment. You recruit people and they just want to sit in the office, enjoy AC, they don't want to do anything. Meanwhile, me, the team lead myself, I'm doing fabrication.
The CEO,
I am.
You're being moderate.
I am operating machines myself, using softwares and all those things. So it is something that if we pay attention to as a nation, it is going to help us very much. For me, I have a very big interest when it comes to TVET. So I really don't joke with it at all. So it is something that we really need to pay attention as a nation to. We need to pay attention to it. Our universities need to be tooled. Technical universities also needs to be tooled very well. And for me, what we have at Celluite, it's more like a whole ecosystem, and everything is there. When it comes to engineering, if we decide to shut down signages and go into steel fabrication alone, we are going to make a lot of money. If we decide to shut down steel fabrication and go to sign making alone, we are going to make money. So it is something that we need to pay critical attention to as a nation and then develop. If we're able to tool our schools, trust me, if this guy comes out from the school, they will be able to do the things that are needed.
And they probably change the curriculum.
As for the curriculum, it is.
That's
I don't know,
a big one.
but we need to look at all those things. It is not rocket science. It is very simple. Machines are there to make jobs easy for us to do. Let's train these guys. People should know how to use CNC. People should know how to operate fiber optics.
In English, CNC.
So that's a computer numerical control system. That's basically robotics. So people who are doing woodworks don't necessarily have to go and then be measuring and then cutting with saw and all those things. I can do woodwork without even using a saw. The robotics machine, all I need to do is to feed measurements, program and feed the measurements to the system. It cuts for me. I just use my screwing machine, I put it together, I'm done, I take my money and go. So that is the whole thing that we need to look at. Technology is on the rise. We can't downplay technology. We cannot. We need to incorporate, that into our curriculum. All the school, the technical universities, they need to,
all these technical universities that they have. I was talking to some few people from Accra Technical University, and they were doing marketing and tourism. And I was like, this is a technical university for heaven's sake. Why did we decide to call it technical university? And nothing technical is standing out in these schools.
They do accounting and finance.
I'm not saying.
For people who are managing private schools, so assuming I have a school in a rural community, because Torchbearers is putting up a school in a rural community in a place called Senti in the Table district.
Okay.
Yeah. So, how if we wanted to introduce this concept to the children so that by the time they are ready for SS, they already have an idea of TVET, some are interested and they want to pursue it. Because if we want to wait for the government, nothing will happen.
Before Salon comes in, this conversation, we've had it before. Remember I said I was in London with some old boys trying to bring this up. End of the day, unless you're getting somebody who says after school, I'm going to work, I don't want certificate. Because everybody, it's their mind, I'm going to school because of certificate. So the training you are giving him or her, if he's not or she's not going to write an examination and pass out and get certificates by the government, they are not interested.
But you know, these are farming communities.
That's what I'm saying, that if the community agrees that I'm going to school to gain knowledge, not because of certificates,
Yeah.
then it works.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Yes.
I get you. So in those communities, you don't have white collar jobs.
Yeah.
And so if the person will learn how to fabricate something and earn a living, they will go for it. So how will you help our school?
For me, I think there are basic things that we need to be, inculcating in our schools. Sort of coding. Coding is one thing. When it comes to robotics, everything is coding. Even the measurement that I feed into my system, it's coding. Yeah. So if those are the basics. So if they're able to know all those things, then by the time they are ready to go to the universities and all those things, they have an idea of what is at stake. Then they will be able to apply them. Because if we don't start that now, when are they going to? Because if they are young and then we start with this coding and all those things, then they start picking up. But by the time they grow, they are picking up all those things. Because we can create things. Engineers can come up with items. We create and all those things they sell. Because when you go to China, all the phones and other things that they are selling to us, it's these young guys who are back from school, using G code, Python, all those things to design, and then they get a company to do their fabrication for them. They sell and then make their money. So the bottom line is, at the end of the day, we all want to make money. That is the bottom line. And for us, for it to be consistent, we need to cut them young. Because if we don't do that, for me, I started way from primary school. So by the time I got to GSS, SS, I knew where I was going, I knew what I wanted to do. So straightforward, I didn't bother myself about going to, I'm going to do this course, jump here, jump there, jump. No, this is what I want to do. Straight, I got it done. And there are things that we need to look at when it comes to our technical universities. There are courses that are not needed in our technical university. For example, when you go to South Africa, there is a school specially for sign making. And trust me, the kind of revenue sign making alone brings, it's no joke. When you go to South Africa, Istanbul, Turkey, there are schools specially for that. There are schools specially for woodwork. There are schools specially for metalwork. So you know where you are going. But here, you don't get those things. I had to leave Ghana to South Africa to learn, go to China to learn.
Bernard, the shortest routes we need to take is purely private and partnership from outside.
Yeah.
Because look, I've been in the corridors of government, not a certain government, past, all of them, very excited about everything. If you go and tell them this, by end of month, in August, we'll launch it. But nothing will happen. It will be launched. Yeah, you'll be on TV, they will do shortcutting, everybody, the whole Ghana will hear about it, but nothing will happen. For it to materialize, is setting up and see, we want to start small in these communities. This is it. After GSS, don't go to experience will come, and by the time you finish 3 years training, 4 years training, you have a certificate. Either you venture into your own private stuff or get employed in a technical environment, right? How many oil, when we found oil, how many schools that sprung up and said we want to do oil, oil stuff? Many schools, where are they?
Can I?
Yes, mommy.
So, it's an interesting conversation we're all having. Everybody seems to have, an idea of, throwing about solutions to the problem. I am in journalism. I'm in the newspaper every day. Government comes, we're doing this, we're doing that. Yes, it's become a cliche.
Yeah.
So you're right. They're doing it for the ops. When they were doing the tea, there was a whole just recently, about 2 months ago, the chairman, the director, I
What's
can't readily remember his name. He came to our studio, you know, very, very exciting conversation, you know, gingering people up to come. And so I decided to take a personal step.
Wait.
I didn't go there though, because at the time I was in the office, so I needed some from my friend or a colleague assured me that, okay, so I told him, okay, I have a younger brother who is currently out of school, but I think this TV thing is going to happen. And can you link me to this guy, you know, so that we can start something, at least start from somewhere. He can learn, you know, he mentions carpentry, masonry, plumbing, and the fact that all these hand-on jobs are going to make a lot of money and give prospects to young people. Ask me what happened.
What happened?
Up till date, I still don't have anything, you know. So, yes, I think the major problem is government just following or having to make promises. I understand it's the politics of the thing, you know, the whole situation. We need to ensure that people are hopeful enough so that they can keep people in power. But the truth of the matter is there's nothing happening on the ground. There's a recent research study done by the University of Development Studies on intellectual disabled children. And the fact that, yes, I've heard a lot about the educational system. There are children with different abilities, but all of them are crammed together in one room and being taught the same thing. At the end of the day, these children come out confused. They don't know what they're doing until maybe you have a well-to-do family or mother or father who can take you to the international school so that at least those teachers are trained to decipher which child has this ability. I think this child does this. Even our parents cannot tell what my child is gifted in. Oh, I want my child to become a lawyer. I want my child to become this, that. But they are not paying attention to even the intellectual capability of the child. So for instance, personally, my mom actually guided me on my professional path. She realized that I love to read and I love to ask questions. And so after senior high school, when I didn't even know what I was going to do, she decided that she was going to get forms for me to go to the journalism school because she realized that I was curious enough and I asked too many questions. And I was just disturbing them in the house and she just decided to get me those forms. So how many, but then this is one out of many. How many parents pay attention? So yeah, we can sit here and say all the nice things, but who is taking action? You know,
Clearly.
You just said that you walked in the corridors of power and you know this, but have you taken action to help how many communities?
So I'm sorry to cut you, Mommy. That's why I'm saying that if this will happen, it should happen privately.
Exactly. But we're all private citizens. We're all trying to, so for instance, I do journalism, but I realized that yes, it's something I'm passionate about, but I think there's a need for me to do something else, not just for me or just for the money, but also to help people in my community.
So now that's exactly why.
Oh, yeah.
No problem, I get it. But I'll be so excited to know in 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 months what this meeting in this room will achieve.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I get it all the time. The last time I was privileged enough to go to the Methodist Girls High School, and they are doing fantastic coding
Robotics.
and robotics
Mm.
in the school.
They're best in
But I know
Africa.
the painful part. It's just a handful of girls
Quite interesting.
who are excited about
Mm.
it. So I asked myself, this is happening here in the eastern region.
Yeah.
It's not even happening in
Greater Accra.
Greater Accra region where you have so many, students. But not to say that there are not people going, but this program has been running for like 4 or 5 years, and they're not getting support from government.
No, the government is not interested.
So my problem is government is centralizing everything, and yet nothing is getting done.
When you come to robotics,
So so I'm so sorry. The other part of it is decentralization, but that's going to take like a whole process.
I think I'll just still go back and say, look, government conversation is different. One, you can't advise them. One, if you partner with them, they'll take your idea and mess it up.
Yeah.
And own it and mess it up. I mean, from Tigo,
Yep.
they will take the idea, make it big, but mess it up. Nothing of it will happen. So talking about robotics, the interest is not there. The interest will start from the parents, then trickle down.
But personally, the funny thing, sorry to cut in. So 2 months ago, there's this guy, Tyrone, who is a Ghanaian but based in the UK. The interesting story is he didn't come up with the idea himself. His teenage daughter in the UK sat down and said, there are girls in Ghana, I'm privileged to be in the UK, and I'm learning coding and stuff. Why don't we extend this privilege to girls in Ghana who do not have the privilege that I have? And that is how this coding, so the coding is different from the robotics.
Yeah.
So they set up the coding station over there, and that just I think a 6-footer container with about, if I'm not mistaken, about 15 to 20 computers, and that costs so much money because of importing and everything. But at the end of the day, a 16-year-old's idea is
making changes.
Is making change, and I'm not saying small change, huge change in the Eastern region, no matter how small. And at least, if I can count, about 10 girls have benefited from this coding education, even if it's not to the level at which they may use it, but has transformed the minds of these girls who are aiming bigger and higher, and they want to actually do more with that. Forget about the math and English and whatever they are learning in school now. So just these little, steps that people are taking can just revolutionize the thinking of the youth in the country.
That's correct.
That will take us
Far.
If I had that privilege. There are times, you go elsewhere and people are like, no, they discourage you. And that's what you say, government. Government will just, they come out, they just need the optics.
There, and maybe sorry to cut you there. And for us, this is what this conversation is about.
Right.
The idea to be able to take, industry players. So someone from the arts and crafts element, someone from hairdressing, someone from clothing and textiles, right? Clothes making or dressmaking, someone from mechanics. I mean, I was in the US. Someone drive into the mechanic shop, and already they're charging something like $3,000 to $4,000 US dollars. It's in the US I saw that mechanics are more richer than bank managers. But here
You talking about the technical?
They look down
The
upon
US?
them.
The people look down on the US, these are these guys?
I was saying
These guys,
the ones that are
you should
making
take it,
it.
man.
So-
They're charging $200,000.
let me look at it. I was in South Africa in 2012, and at the time, our company had acquired one of the robotic machines. And when I got to South Africa, they told me that no, it is not possible for us to be able to acquire that equipment. And I was like, why? And they said no, it's a lot of money, and you need to be very rich in South Africa to be able to afford that particular equipment. And when you go to South Africa, the amount of money those people are making
huge.
We're just here.
I was going to say that what you were talking about, the private something, is the way to go.
It's the way
Yeah.
to go.
Prempeh College happens to produce the champions in the robotics challenges all over the world, and
It's,
been consistent.
Methodist
It's Methodist,
girls'
not Prempeh, it's
school.
Methodist. It's
Prempeh
Methodist.
College
It's
is
Methodist. It's Methodist.
Robotics.
Methodist is the best in
girls.
Africa right now.
Even
Yeah.
in the world, I think
Yeah.
they won
Yeah,
one
the
in
second year.
2018,
Yeah.
17.
No, Prempeh College has had its consistent
Oh, it's
people.
no, it's science and maths quiz. though.
Not science and maths.
No, for robotics is
It's Methodist girls.
I sponsored my
Well,
school.
well, it's not. It's not. I'm not
I
going to.
actually even got to hear of this robotics thing
True.
when they won.
Yeah, it's them. They're the best in Africa right now.
Yeah.
Methodist girl.
And when I got there, actually, they wanted to show me the
What they blacks and all those things.
the projects they've done, but unfortunately, because they were preparing for
Exams.
the exams, they are disabled it, and so they have different projects every year for those who are coming in. So it makes it, but you see, they just don't have support.
So
See,
what I was actually going to say is that the Prempeh College success
Yeah.
is based on private support. Yes, private
All
support.
students.
Yeah, all students are
Alumni.
supporting it, and
Which is fantastic.
My school, we have the, I don't know whether they made it the chairman for robotics. So we have the platform, old boys are buying the computers. Government they came, they saw it, our speech and prize giving, they were there, they were super excited. Boom, they made an announcement, they're going to build. So as of now, it has never happened. So this conversation, Bernard, as I've stated, we can build the expertise base, find a course, put curricula together, private, linked to a school in a university in the US or in whatever it is, and they get certification. When the schools start growing, or people are now coming out of that school, and they look, let me pick a typical example of Ashasi. It's a university.
That's correct.
But now everybody yearn to go because the product that comes out from that school, everybody is seeing the difference. That okay, we are all in a university, but these guys are different. They are different. So they know. So the same thing is going to happen now. And say, look, we've started small. 2-3 years they are in school, bam, they are done. And now this man employs 2 people from the school now. Then he gives a testimony and say, look, school YXZ, they are doing TVET. I've employed 2 people. They are far better than the 60 people I've employed from our technical university. Then the conversation starts changing. So it's about how do we get the experts? And trust you me, I think the conversation of getting, look, I went to some universities to go and speak about entrepreneurship. Their lecturer who talks about entrepreneurship was basically, he has read the book and coming to talk about it. He has no experience. So now we have a TVET person who is not a book reading professor, but a practical on. So this man, when he puts him in the classroom, he's not going to put the curriculum and say A and B. He put the book and closed it and said, now everybody, your tools, spinal on the left, screwdriver on the right. Let's do it. So after that, then we get the experience. So I think that's.
Is he willing to step into the classroom?
Oh no, not him, but I'm just an example. Don't worry.
So this is.
I'm just using as an example.
These were the things.
When it comes
That's
to
very important. That's a very important factor
consider,
to raise because, you know, I'm somebody who really loves movies, and it teaches me a lot. I just don't watch movies. So I watched one yesterday, Top Gun. You know, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
And what I realized was these are a group of flight aeronautics or pilots, war pilots. They are trained to into war, and just 1% of these pilots are then transferred to a special training unit where when you come up tops, then they put you in the field and they expect that these people will win the war for them. At the end of the day, these people who have been on the field come back and become instructors in that classroom for the upcoming students to learn. But I realized that this is not being done in our schools. When somebody gets a doctorate, you can go into the classroom and teach. How many research has this Professor Dan? How many or how much experience does he have in the field that he's teaching? But you get this easily outside the country. That is why I'll prefer to learn outside the country than go to the university, because I realize that even in our university, some professors are so cynical, or if I should put it this way, narcissist.
That's a tough one.
Well, forgive me, but if you don't go strictly
By
the book, you
They
don't
fail you.
pass.
They fail you.
You know, and you realize that this person has potential, but comes out with a second class lower and it's not respected. But somebody who put 2 and 2 together comes out with a first class and like, oh, this guy is good.
Yeah.
You know, it's not fair.
I think the education system in Ghana and how we have valued it has become, if you like, our bane as a society. When I spoke with Frank and shared, my passion to really have this drive for T-Third, and it was like, you know what, the Saturday event, organize it, see what. My thought immediately went to, who can I get into the room? Who can understand the passion to see? We say yesterday, I'm not a talk shop person.
Yeah, actually.
I'm not that kind. It's factor non-verbal. Actions, not words.
Yeah.
Getting the stuff done. So the idea of bringing those, needed skill managers who have proven over time. And when I spoke to her, I said, listen, if we are on CEO's network, if we say we want CEOs in the room, you get people here who talk about
2
stuff.
minutes.
They'll talk about stuff, but we want guys at this table who can be able to say, hey, I have the skill. I want to contribute that to developing young people in order to start putting something tangible on the ground. And that for me was the challenge. This biggest question that got me thinking is, why haven't you started? To bits and pieces, I've done a lot of starts in many places, set many up. But the kind of drive I want to see is not, having on my CV, maybe I can name about 12 people that I've had set up and they are running.
Yeah.
Running their media, running this and that and that. It's not about that, but how can this become a drive? And I said something, it's about private. So the partnership with private individuals. Today I'm very glad Salom is here. I'm very glad Tina will be at the table. There is someone also who is into shoemaking.
Yeah, Hosman.
All right, Hosman shoes, big guy, who started from nothing. So everyone that we are putting on the table is people that started from nothing, no support, no capital, nothing, not even possibly in some instance parents. So they took a passion from the ground and build something up, and they can then be able to transfer that knowledge, right, to another young person with overcoming the fears, to say that I don't have the money, I don't have this and that and that, and they are there as testimonials to say that I didn't have all that, but I did it, this is how I did. So create a kind of a model for these young people to want to now buy into that model. And that for me, what today's conversation is about. And yes.
Go ahead.
No, you don't go ahead.
I want to say one thing, and thank you, because I think that you captured the frustration of a lot of Ghanaians. Right? You're able to articulate it, and I think there's one part, an actionable part that we miss, because Mama asked a simple question. She's actually doing what you're asking. You said, okay, what's action going to be? And they've started a school
in the village.
In a village. And now she linked and she said, wow, if I can link the villagers to the technical piece of it, and I'm wondering how does that link? I don't know if it was answered or not, Mama. I might have but I think that I like that idea, because think about it, because if they can get it, it's kind of like, I tell people, like, don't worry about the people that they're not into it, because there's always going to be someone that is.
Yeah.
Go for the hungry people. Those are the ones that, you know, they have to drive. I'm wondering, how do you do that? Because if you have TVET and they started the school, I wonder why. How do you bridge that connection?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I mean, clearly, that's what I'm saying. The TVET is, she's given 11 example that she heard the minister talk about, the director talk about TVET. Send somebody to chase it and nothing is happening. So that's a conversation. It's up there, but on the ground, nothing is happening. That's the reason why.
The campaign season too.
Then you talk about
They
it.
just have a nice building sitting there.
Yeah, so that's the reason why nothing is happening. That's the reason why nobody's locating her. Because if I'm a director of TVET and I have this man as an expansion officer, I'm asking him how many schools he's bringing on board, how many students are we enrolling, but nobody is doing that. So they all wait. Campaign season, they go take pictures. Look, I saw a picture yesterday. Somebody talking about planting for food and jobs, right?
Yes.
A nice picture on Facebook. The person is carrying tomato on a cabbage farm. It's on my phone. I'm serious. I'll share. It's on my phone. And because it's pure propaganda, nobody notices it. How carrying is a huge cabbage farm, and the person who was posting
it's a hybrid farm.
and the person who is posting about it
producing tomatoes.
is carrying tomatoes.
Yeah.
You see that disconnect? Because all these young people, I mean, people are paid like us to just make noise and say, "Oh, I got TVET training," but it's a lie. He's been paid some $1,000 or $2,000 to do that on social media, and that is the problem we are facing. For us to be able to get this off the ground, purely say, "Look, we're starting with 2 curriculums or 3 or 4, right? Signage, 1, steel, whatever, fabrication, 2, coding. We get the experts."
Can I interrupt? You said you met with him? Your TVET guy?
No. So she's a lady.
Right,
Then
yeah.
now, yes.
Do they have a curriculum for the...
So they are building.
They are now building.
All this should be ready before even
You
the
see, so here is it. There is CODVET. CODVET is the council that has been running for years.
They have
They give, so you can come with your curriculum actually to CODVET and say that I want to run 1, 2, 3 programs, and this is how I structure it. My worry when I started engaging them in 2016 was this: there are no standards to how these things are coming through. South Africans build what we call the qualifications framework that are linked to what we call unit standards. So for example, there are unit standards for dressing a bed for people studying in hospitality. There are unit standards for cleaning a washroom. So when you go through their school of hospitality and you come with a certificate that I am trained to be a janitor for a hotel, it is not a fluke, because there are unit standards that are quoted that you must meet the standards. So you talk about fabrication and so on. If you like, just do it on your own. Go to Google, type unit standards South Africa. They will read, and any kind of thing you need by virtue of what standards you need. I went to Ghana Standards Board because you see, I came back with fire, with passion. I wanna say they kill you too fast.
Don't go rampant.
So now linking back, that is where I now started connecting, step back, reorganize, re-strategize. And I learned the hard way that the way to go is find private partnerships and collaborations of individuals that can be able to help to drive that initiative. Linking back to, let's understand what you want to do with your school, what areas. I built curriculum, for years. I can help sit down with you, we'll put something together. I'll do it for free. Help you, and then we can look at which resources, so tutors, can be able to help deliver that. And then we can use the experts in the field to have a design, like an incubator program that can run maybe a couple of weekends in a month to run something that practicalizes the knowledge base that are shared. And I don't mind, my company is associated with a couple of these certification organizations. We can get them, to help giving you certificate that matches a certain standard that we can churn out. And let's work what these young guys can do in the market. And this is what I believe.
And I think now we'll take it a step further and say, okay, thank you for volunteering that, but I also want to get involved and say, I don't want you to do it. I want you to train someone to do it. And let's hire somebody. Because the problem, see, the entrepreneur, I gotta scale it. Now, if every time I need to go to Bernard, it's not scalable. But now this is the first school. So we're gonna team up. And I want you to train, we'll hire them. Well, you're gonna be the local guy. Train them. How do we write this?
Cool.
The thing.
How to design curriculum.
How do you design it?
Yeah.
Train somebody to go out there, don't, because you're gonna burn yourself out.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna burn yourself
And also
out.
business plans, because like you said.
It's one of the we are running
Businesses.
But you also see, in terms of business plans, the paper doesn't really, reflect what happens. Challenge when you are
learned about it. You know why it doesn't reflect? We don't spend time to do the first part, which is the research. We don't spend time to do the research very well. We spoke at length before you guys joined.
Right.
If you spend massive time, it's just like you've been given a big tree and a dead axe. You spend time to sharpen it.
Yeah.
The blunt axe. Spend time to sharpen it. The sharpening is understanding the market, understanding what you're getting yourself into. Now, in 15 minutes, people go on. Somebody asked me, I need a business case for this project. I was like, okay. He said, can it be done tomorrow? I was like, what?
Sorry, so what?
Somebody get at 10 p.m. So I need a business case because there's a loan that he needs to go and fight for the loan.
Yeah.
So can the business case be done tomorrow morning?
So that you can do that.
Dude. And it was like, anything to represent anything. I was like, the loans, they don't care. Oh yeah, and then you guys they tell me that
The loan office is not, but it's different from implementation.
The wedding man.
Big boss.
Yeah.
I know.
Welcome. Oh, okay.
But I agree. Sorry to cut you off.
So if we spend time to sharpen it, and say this is what I'm going to do, the business case comes out very solid. Business case research is not based on only the technical. You're doing the marketing, the finance,
the
promotion, customer segmentation. Where do I find the territories? If we spend time to do all, it helps you to build
a proper plan.
That will
Hey, please come have a seat.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Can we shift so that he grabs a seat and
Okay.
that is what is going to help us. So personally, I'm loving this idea, but look, we have a pilot project that we can do, right? The next question I'll ask is, what is their level, right? What's their level? Is it primary? Is it GSS? Is it some people who can transition into a secondary sector? You know what I mean? You see, this conversation is such a way that if you do it and you make it very, very much informal, it doesn't carry any weight. Do you understand? The person who is starting now must see the end of it. 15 years from it, what is he going to get?
It's okay.
15 years from now, what comes out of it? That will be the excitement, right? I'll go back to Salom because an example. Salom, well known in Ghana for what he's doing, and sometimes he posts where he started from, those small signposts. That shows somebody that, okay, when I start this course, there is progress for me, right? There is progress for me. So it makes it very aspirational for people to join. So I will still stick on it. Like, if we want to start privately, get a project out of the way. You get to a point, the government will come, right? and I have a living example, which is not in technical but education. You know where I'm going, right? I saw the document, and for 4 years, government to give somebody accreditation to run MBA, it never happened. For 4 years, the guy said, "I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to go to an international school in the US, in Australia.
Partner with them.
And they delivered MBA for 1 year. Now all the government schools are rushing and say, we want to partner with you. And he's running MBA for 1 year, weekends, using professionals. Not MPhil students, no. Professionals who are hands-on. So when the weekend you come, it's not about book, it's about what the guy has gone through.
Practicalizing it.
You know, he's a leader of, he's teaching leadership. He's a CEO of a company. He's teaching marketing. He's a marketing manager. He's telling you. So now there's a mad rush for his, services. And now he signed on to many, like 6 or so universities across the world. And it's happening. So if you do not go private, the government will come and partner with you. They will kill your dream. You need to go private, get to a level, and then they will come for you. So now they will listen to you rather than you dictating to you on what to do.
So, can I ask a question? As on this table, what are we doing together to drive this thing?
But that is the chairman for.
So I think just to update everyone, we have maybe about 15-30 more minutes to run up, but we have 2 more guests. We need to have them introduce themselves. Maybe later on we'll do. So maybe let's start from.
Well, I'm thinking at the end of it.
At the end, right?
Let's.
Okay. All right. So we'll share a summary of what we've discussed so far. So basically, the big question is exactly what we've been trying to answer here, but now practicalize it. I have shared what the intent is. The question then comes to everyone. What can you bring to this conversation? I have said, what are the things I can do? What are the things I can contribute to? Some level of technical, you're talking about documentations. Yes, these are things, design, curriculum design, and so on and so forth. Design, drafting, developing of, business letters or concept notes or business plans and so on and so forth. These are things that we can help industry players to get into onto the table. Beyond that, the technical bits. So like I mentioned, there are people we are looking at in hairdressing space. There are people we're looking at in tailor making, shoe making, practical stuff.
Bags making, those articles.
Exactly. People that are doing accessories, using locally produced materials, as part of the skill set. And some of the idea is to drive weekend programs, 5 to 7 hours of running different things that people can be able to walk in there and they can learn about this, learn about that. And by the time they're walking away at 4 or 5 in the evening, they have an easily transferable skill that they can apply immediately. The question is, at this table, what can you bring to the dance floor? Let's start with you.
Me.
Sports.
Throwing back my question to me.
I was curious.
So, I'm more into news. I'm into journalism. So, ideally, what I can do is sell stories.
Ah.
Yes.
Mami, right?
Mami's, yes.
Mami is.
So if you followed what I do this series, a living standard series. I don't know if anybody has joined me. So this is about how people we're engaging people's lives in this economic situation, So my target has really been people everyday people who are maybe the momo vendor, the woman on the street selling, or even an ordinary mother or father the everyday things. I wake up in the morning, where I go to, what I buy, how I afford the food on the table. So I can just go to the market and just talk to somebody voluntarily,
Randomly.
randomly. And they will tell you stuff. So maybe we can turn this into a tool. How are people surviving? How are people turning their disadvantage into advantages? So with this program, how are we going to tell the story of an emerging market where the private sector is building capacity, technically, vocationally, such that they are also building on the economy. They are not waiting to be hand-fed, but taking advantage of what they have, the opportunities they have, to push what they have, so that when we're able to make enough noise about it, then
Can have a traction.
yeah, we can have the traction that we need. Other people can invest and whatnot. Yeah.
Thank you. I think this one, the question will go around the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The court is still in your ball.
Yeah.
The way you said, Rev.
Okay, so I think I can come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, I have a very critical interest in this because it's going to benefit my business. For me, it's a win-win situation.
How so? For the camera and for education for everyone.
Yes, for everyone. So we at my place we looked at all these things. We realized that we needed to train people ourselves, and it was going to cost us a lot of money. We've started. You realized recently we posted about our hostel that we built.
Yeah.
It was not just something that we've done just for people to say, hey, you've done well. It's a plan that we are, it's something we're embarking on. So our mother said they have people in the villages, that they are training. Now, say they've trained them for a while and they want them to come and have a practical feel of how things go. If they are visiting me, I should be able to provide accommodation for them. So these are all the thoughts that that run through my mind when it comes to TVET and all this. So we are there to support, technically train these guys for them to come for attachments, which would obviously be free. Because at the end of the day, if the person becomes perfect, the person decides where to work. If the person comes to me, I'm gaining. So if I'm providing this skill set for people to at the end of the day make money for themselves, feed themselves, and all those things, then I think it's something that I'm ready and willing to support in this case. So in terms of training these guys, them coming for attachment, we are ready to take them home.
I should have heard this.
Cello Arts, you are a miracle worker. Yay!
Yeah.
Nice one. Okay. Chief, we should go ahead.
I'm still following. I'm trying to grasp what's
going on.
So
Alright.
eventually we'll
So since you did introduce, yes, let's hear those that are introduced first then.
Okay, for me, what I do, I don't know how it sits in all of this discussion because I'm purely into service. And I'm an insurance broker, I said. I give consultation, I give advisory services. But I've also carved a niche for myself in selling insurance. So I've managed distribution channels for like 13 years. Bank assurance, brokerages, agents, direct sales. I don't know how all of this would support any of what you are doing, but I'm here to support. In any way you think I can be of help.
Can I connect a dot?
Please do.
Okay, so everything we're talking about here, technical, has a level of risk.
Yeah,
Sure.
it does. Yeah.
The human resource, working on machinery, the transportation of goods from factory base to the customer, all these elements, the factory itself has a level of risk. So there's a conversation about insurance for entrepreneurs that many times you don't even factor. Even the money in transit from your shop floor, from your selling point to the bank has a level of risk where the conversation of insurance comes in. I think creating a sub-model in a bigger model to talk about the element of risk, how you manage and mitigate, is even offering your intellectual, support or knowledge when it comes to insurance for entrepreneurs.
But she can also sell her.
Of course. So first is what she supports with, and then of course this can be the avenue.
For how I can make money, I can tell you.
Uh-huh.
I want to know how I can solve the project.
So I mean that is an area.
I mean, your issue, let's just bring my mind. There was a pastor conference that I was supposed to be a speaker, and I was lacking half. And my job was defined to even teach the pastors how to market themselves.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So there's a way you can teach this so to start thinking insurance from the early stages.
So I'm in.
You're in.
Yes.
It's working.
And I think insurance is very key. If I tell you the amount of money we are paying on insurance every year, and our factory, our trucks,
Hopefully I'll get it.
you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
And
You understand
for me,
what
Just to say, what can people?
I'm very passionate about insurance because I realize there's a disconnect, a major disconnect between insuring public and insurers. Somebody thinks they are buying A, but they actually bought B, and there's a claim, and the conversation is different. So I'm very interested, not just in selling insurance products, but educating you to understand what you are buying and how you can make a claim when it arises.
But the truth is, insurance companies are very reluctant to pay.
That is what you will say because you
That's
don't
the
know
truth.
what
That's what we've experienced.
we can have this conversation.
I think
I get it. Insurance is very important.
But she's speaking in
But you
context.
see, it's difficult when everybody is parting with money. It's very, very difficult. I mean, I can understand. Look, if I'm going to borrow money from this guy, it's very easy to take the money. Even paying back. It's like you're pulling hair from my nose. So I can understand that. Yeah, I went for the money, all right. You have the money back. Paying the money is like challenge. I should use
But
this
if
money
you
for
don't
this reason.
know what you have bought, how do you
Oh,
make them
Don't
accountable?
worry. Don't worry.
So
about
so
that.
if I may contribute something little here, I keep saying to insurance companies, you see, there is no customer who pays a premium and goes home excited, yay, today I paid my insurance. The only time service is experienced with insurance companies is when claims come. Unfortunately, the insurance companies make the claim process so not favorable for the customer.
Of course.
This is why the Ghanaian public would have pushbacks when it comes to insurance. Because taking the monies are easy, you get their left.
Yeah.
But when you now step up to say that I have a problem, now solve it, then they push to pillar to
Just like
post.
the banks.
That is the challenge with insurance company. And when you talk to them about customer communication and how these things can be, so they're not interested because it's free money every month. Bam, 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 bam. But when you have a problem,
You see,
But
I was
I
in
think
a situation.
I think it is
Like I said,
it is
it's my
so
passion. I
important
need
to have a
to educate
program
people.
so you know handle it. That's where she comes
She
in.
comes in
She comes in
exactly.
as
That's
a
what I was
program.
going to say.
Yeah.
I've been in a situation where I was a client because I was consulting for a bank and I was going to make claims.
oh my
So
God.
I understand where, I mean,
That
the
is
topic
it.
comes in and I understand your challenge.
Yeah.
But I believe that it's usually because we don't know what we have bought.
That's true.
We usually don't know.
Yeah.
How many times have you read your policy documents?
I
So when
even
they
go after
bring you
them,
the
they don't read it.
impediments, you are, because you don't know what you want. But that is why I'm here. That is why I'm supposed to read the documents for you. And I'm supposed to make your life very simple.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll email on to you.
All right,
and
so-
discuss.
I'll be very happy.
Okay, so I think still on the table,
Yeah.
the conversation is looking at the TVET drive we're trying to have. What kind of support, because we don't want this also to be another talk show. we want to meet up again somewhere, middle of the month. You maybe have a virtual convo beyond here to take this discussion further. But what can we bring to the table? What do we add? What can we contribute? And like I mentioned, there are other people that want to be a part but are not here. And I'm sure we'll be meeting some of those, in that discussion. But more importantly, as an individual, as a professional, what can you be able to support this agenda with? Of course, we are looking at the end when we can benefit. But at this beginning, I think that everyone will agree that we need to be able to put a bit of us into it. So where do you come in and how do you make that possible?
Okay, so if I get the question, and then again, I'm really sorry to everyone for coming in.
Your sins are forgiven.
I'm telling the cousin's wedding, I didn't want to go, but I had to be there anyway. So, I have a few questions to help me understand and answer the question as well. TVET is broad, right? And the first thing I was asking myself is, what's the catchment area? Because if we're deciding to work or contribute something, I'm looking at pragmatic measures. Okay, so maybe we're targeting, say, 200 people, 300 people in these areas. Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, blah, blah, blah. I can then contribute, okay, I know I'm an expert in design thinking. How do you combine design thinking and TVET, right? In the sense that if I'm learning a craft, and then which target, quote unquote, audience are we empowering, right? Because we can contribute our talent, our ideas, our organizations to something along the lines of TVET. But what are the key performance indicators basically? Are we looking at a group of people in a particular region, space? And number two, if we're looking at those areas as well, what kind of skill? Because in TVET there are a number of
So
areas.
many
Exactly.
areas, yeah.
So that we can have more or less like a step-by-step approach to achieve a goal. So when we meet maybe mid-month to have a conversation, we're now talking about the fact that, okay, we've identified this group, maybe Sarah is handling a group of people who has identified, so we can then contribute. Because I don't want the thing to be general, and then we go back and okay, so what am I working towards again? What am I contributing to again? Basically, so that's
So maybe from the beginning, one of the things that we had shared and we pushed in our conversation is the element of understanding the market. We identify that there's a huge gap in the technical vocational skill ecosystem. What we don't have at this table is to say that we want to focus here, there. However, I believe that every business that have thrived starts with someone with an idea and with hearts around that idea that are willing to push the agenda. This is the first time we are introducing the conversation, having a couple of people around the table to hear that this is where we want to go. What first we started with is to understand, okay, what's your background? What can you bring to support? The follow through is then to be able to meet, okay, what are the gaps we want to, respond to? What are the answers we want to have as solutions to these gaps? Then we can now start building the key elements from there.
And then provide context to what I do so that you have an understanding. My name is Maurice Niaje Kashenko. I'm currently the Managing Director for Kumasi High, a tech and innovation space in Ashanti region. I also run a consulting firm here in Accra called ILM Consult, Illumination of the Melanin. I explained the last time.
Explain.
The concept of ILM is that the fact that your skin is black doesn't mean that your mind is black. So we're going to empower your mind to be able to do what you're supposed to do. So the business concept is more, we make money and then we have organized symposiums across campuses to empower the black person to also believe in themselves to contribute something to our community and our society. So that's ILM Consult. Given the background of Kumasi High, I work with MBTI and the TVET policy. GIZ, I consulted with GIZ to create a curriculum for TVET years ago, I think 3 years ago. So I'm quite conversant with the TVET space. So I think one of the key things that we realized that was lacking in the TVET space is something called design thinking. Most people just go in for a skill, but they don't know necessarily how to apply the skill in the context of entrepreneurship. So they let the skill to be employed, basically. So someone has the resources and says, hey, I'm looking for a tailor, I'm looking for a hairdresser, so come let's work with me, right? But beyond learning the skill, how do you apply that in the real time, problem solving in a particular area that you find yourself busy? And that's where the design thinking comes in. So we have created a curriculum for design thinking for TVET,
Right.
basically. So I think it's something that we can contribute to the table. We can share a document along those lines. But I have to check with GIZ first because they paid for my time. So we'd have to share that if possible to this conversation. And I'm hoping that, given that everybody here is well versed as well, or have an understanding in the TVET space, we can come up with, the last time we met, you mentioned about policy. And for me, I realized that drives a lot of the work. If you can identify key industry players and stakeholders within, I heard you talk about private sector, and then we do it and government then jumps in. That is so true. So if you can do that, that works. Because I think all of us here are quote unquote giants in our own spaces, right? And once you help us make the noise, the right noise, of course, we're going to get agencies. And I think I know a few development partners that would want to jump on board, like GIZ, like Mastercard Foundation, especially if it's about women. You can work with comfort, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So especially about women, it's very easy to get the Mastercard on board to support that, because currently they're looking at employing or creating 700,000 jobs in the next 10 years under the Young Africa Works program. They're giving $10 million to every country, so Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria, to create jobs for women in various spaces, right? So they are doing tech and innovation, but there's no conversation around TVET at the moment because there's no real trajectory. Nobody can really determine that, in the next 10 years, TVET can really create this X number of jobs. Meanwhile, it's already creating jobs, but nobody's talking about it, right? So if you can identify these bottlenecks, it's very easy to draw these guys in and even give funding to support a project that we can all run. Yeah, so that's what I'd say.
Nice one. Nice. Okay. So
Can I ask a question? Why are we being videoed?
okay, so it's all part of the.
Yeah, you can answer.
Oh, Liz, you want to answer?
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I'm from the U.S. I'm based abroad, and I came here to talk to Ghanaian entrepreneurs. But I have to document my journey, right? So a part of this is, okay, what is the greater impact? People ask, what is the greater thing? Well, the first thing is I came here as a blank canvas. I didn't have an expectation because, as we know, I tell people in the U.S., we bring ideas to Ghana, and then you Ghanaians, you look at it and you say, this is not going to work. So it's the video, in short, it's just for me documenting my process, sharing the stories, and then we're going to follow up with entrepreneurs, share your journeys, and then at the end here, again, it's a blank canvas, and then he keeps asking me, what is your end goal, Frank? What is your end goal?
Yeah, I keep asking.
And so essentially here, we're painting, right? So now I'm what I'm hearing from here, from this conversation is the greater need for training, the greater need for, more capacity. More
capacity building.
Yeah, capacity building, more educational in certain areas and more things. So the video is just going to serve as educational pieces, right? So then we can have video, we make promotional things, because then, a month you're going to say, oh, what did we discuss again, or things, and his team, they're going to work on the promotional thing, we're going to work on, so even if you want to run a story or so, we have all the video clips, we can clip it and we can come back, and then, we can study it and say, okay, I remember when you said this. So it's just documented, and I'm gonna document my journey. I'm trying to get other entrepreneurs to document their journeys, to share. And so I said, I need to follow the example. And so the video is just for me holding myself accountable. Because if I wanted to come do the video, I would have messed it up, right? I've been trying to do it for a long time. So let me get the professionals and do a good job. Any concerns?
No, let me throw this in as
Yes,
well.
sir.
I'm looking at this as an opportunity for something we can birth out of this.
Exactly.
Most of these organizations I've worked with are always looking for content. What have you done? Evidence, exactly. And the fact that, and this is my challenge to you as well.
Yes,
you represent an international brand that it's in about 10 countries you mentioned. Is it?
A little bit less, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, almost 10 countries, right? If we do say that, so we have a video on key stakeholders within the TVET space documenting A, B, C, and D, coming up with this discussion. So Wellness Group organized, say, a think tank with key, stakeholders to do A, B, C, and D. And there's a concept note that comes out of this. We have wellness group, we have the stakeholders writing to say World Bank or any of these organizations I know in the space to say that, hey, we've done this and this and this and this. So then your video then supports that. Because I don't want us to just have a conversation is recorded and that's just about it. To be very honest. I don't want, maybe I want to play the devil's advocate. I don't know what's like, I don't want to have a conversation.
Right.
We all come here, we talk about it, and then the next step is another conversation, and then another conversation. Could we, based on what has been documented, come up with, strategies to say we're doing A, B, C, and D, given the fact that you can agree to give us footage in the event where we need it to support raising funding, right?
Absolutely. The content is going to be available. The content is going to be available for anyone to use.
Okay.
So I definitely, he's going to hold me accountable.
Of course.
And we're going to, as a quick blurb too, we're meeting again on Monday for anyone who can make it, 1 p.m. here. It's going to be the closing out ceremony. So essentially, I was gathering entrepreneurs to get ideas. I didn't want to come and dictate the agenda because people hate that, right? Ghanaians hate when U.S. guys come and we tell you all, do this, and do it our way, because this is what worked in the U.S. So that's why we kept it open, and I appreciate everyone's willingness because it was hard, right? So what is the agenda? Oh, I don't know. There is no agenda, right? So any other thoughts or concerns? Yeah, I'll take it.
No, not for that.
All right, so thank you very much for
We didn't hear her voice.
yes, let's pick from her as well. Yeah.
That's the voice we're ready.
Okay, I'm Tina Sabina. I'm a hairstylist.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You've been moderate and modest.
This is Athena.
Sabina.
Is it Ghanaian?
Yeah. It's the feminine of Seb.
Oh,
Okay.
Sabina.
never heard
I
it.
have no idea.
Someone Maurice.
That was.
Okay.
So maybe a bit of your background. I think that, like I said, you're being modest. So your company, what you're doing.
Okay,
stuff
so
like
I'm Sabina Mati. I'm a hairstylist, and my company is Head to Beauty Palace. So we do more of beauty stuff, like everything with beauty. Yeah.
I can come from my hair to be style, of course, natural hair.
Yes.
Okay.
So for a while, Tina and I. Oh, sorry.
Head to toe. We have one at East Legon, and we have one at Session.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So for a while, Tina and I have been discussing a lot around building capacity for young people in that space, because hair is big money.
It's a
Big. And there are a couple of things that she's doing privately, running some few things. And I thought it would be a good add to this discussion, and she's passionate about it. Quite recently she started taking on people from all across the place, and most of her products go international. So we just track some deals with DHL to carry her stuff to go.
What do you sell? What do you sell now?
Okay, so now I see wigs are moving so fast. So I'm really doing wigs. Like now it's just about
Which
process.
Convenience.
Yes. So we do the constructions. We have people who sew with the sewing machines.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And then we style it and take it out there.
Also, you sew your own wigs.
Yes, we sew
Everything.
our wigs, everything.
So she has a whole setup, at her space where it's a whole factory plan. So that's why I think we need, and it's direct scale. You can really be able to pick and plug. So something that you should check out. I even have some for Christmas.
You guys are wigs.
And for who? I'm wondering, like, you're making them.
Yeah, I work for myself.
See, of it, whether I love it or not.
Great. Yeah. No. You know the question we don't want to ask. Okay, we're doing weeks now. What next? There's a conversation out of it.
What next?
Yeah, it's a conversation out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have said
Whatever becomes trendy.
come again.
Whatever trends.
Yeah, whatever
What's
trends
next?
about beauty, I quickly shift them.
Yes.
Yes.
Now it's the head.
Yes.
So one of the key things we do as well is that whilst you're doing it, you need to more or less be futuristic. Sometimes you don't wait for the trend to come.
Yeah.
You dictate the trend.
Ahead of it.
Okay.
You decide to dictate the trend
What
for
people must
what
look
people
for.
must look for. So
Okay.
these
So
are things.
I really saw a lot of people are having hair lost.
Mm.
I think I think working, that is one thing that I'm really passionate about, but I don't have any idea about it now. I think it's really, really big because a lot of people are losing hair. So recently I traveled, I saw this wake up, and
So there's a way.
yes.
Yeah.
Seriously, these women are thick.
So, yes. So I got it, I'm trying to push it, and it's really working because if I don't tell you it's a wig, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, so.
Now I'm seeing it because I'm not
Now
paying attention. I'm like, wow.
you trying to look at this.
Yeah.
I knew
But if I tell you mine is a wig,
Oh no. I see that gray hair. Oh, please no.
Okay, actually, the what's interesting
You've
is
seen
the
the
men.
men, yeah.
Oh, they do have.
Yeah,
mine is.
they, the bold
Oh, yeah.
men.
Should I show you? Should I show you?
They have
Okay,
weeks, yeah.
there are cameras in the room.
Fantastic. I'll come
Great.
for
Yeah.
Great.
So I think it's one thing that is really moving now.
Moving,
Really,
right.
really
Please, are you
moving.
open for investment?
I am.
Okay, cool. Can talk after. I need money.
I told you rather going to
I mean, I invest to make money. So
And direct Frank said 7 years, so wait for if you invest, you wait for 7 years.
That's not special. Ghana is
Better
passion.
than the brand.
Let me show you something funny. You know, we did some nice presentation, business case looking so good. And it's 5 years, you know, break even 7 years, 8 years, like, okay, your money's
Profit,
coming
yeah.
back. And presented to one of the big guys. And he's in the business of building. You know, the guy builds, and you know, within 9 months, 1 year, he's getting like 40-50% of whatever he invested. So we shared a plan. He said, I still don't get when we'll make the money. And I said, 5 years break even. He said, close.
Ghana is passion. After 1 year, you start saying money.
He said, I'm not close and go. 5 years, no way.
These days, you never know what can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The person that
You want to chop some
Oh,
now?
and then once the thing in 1 year, he said 5 years. Good.
Yes, yes. Oh, the food. Okay, so I think everyone has their contact share, right?
Yeah, I
Yes,
have
sure.
it. I'll
Okay.
I'll take a
alright.
picture and then.
That's
Yeah.
clear. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think from my end, before maybe Frank would come in, I just want to say thank you. I know some of you came through the invitation of Frank, some also through Stephen, and I invited a few as well. And you know, really, you know, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us, and also for sharing the passion, and also to Frank and the wife for believing in maybe a piece of my traveling idea, you know, but you know, kind of believed in it, you know, and really threw his weight behind it, you know. So I'm really looking forward. I've followed, you know, Salem from far, you know, through Big G
It's the
and
big man.
Corporate, the rest of them, you know. Today, you know, we sit across, and he's doing like seriously big stuff, you know. That's the reason, you know. So I'm really excited.
He's good to host though, right?
Yeah,
the host of
big,
it, and
big,
He has money. He has money.
Yeah, also his team. You know, so he's done some massive stuff. So, guys, I'm really appreciative, and thanks also for making this, you know, possible and supporting really to make it happen. Right. So thank you, and we're going to connect from here. I'm sure we'll reach out and then try and create a platform to get a conversation going. And maybe at the initial stages we'll do a couple of virtual meetings because they're going to be away. They need to be part of it. So even if we meet, in person, we need to create an avenue where they can still plug into the conversation, so we can keep stuff, going. So thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll keep it short. And then closing prayer.
Yes.
Okay. You gonna wait for pastor to come back?
Well, I hear that Salom is a pastor as well.
Oh,
So maybe we'll ask the chairman ACN to show the prayer.
Okay, let's pray.
He was a pastor. I've seen you. I think he is a pastor. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because you look like very familiar. Like I've seen you on a poster somewhere. I don't know.
He's the pastor.
I know he's
I'm a pastor trainee. Okay, let's pray. Father, Lord God, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for bringing everybody here safely. We thank you for 3 hours of undiluted, focused, pure, heart-giving deliberations. Father, all that we ask from you, that all that we've discussed and put on paper, on camera, on video, let it turn into action.
Amen.
Father, no talk shop. We know the solutions. Give us that desire to push for the solutions.
Amen.
Give us that desire to work whatever we've said. Our yes must be our yes. Our word must be our bond. We must follow through and make this happen. Father, we're living here, we're not living in your presence. As we live, Father, keep this burning desire in our hearts. Refresh our memories. Give us more ideas. So next time when we meet again, another mind-blowing ideas will be shared on our platform. Heavenly Father, as we're leaving as well, take everybody home safely, guide everybody, and take everybody home peacefully. And when we get home, we give you all the glory and say you are the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.